What's up, Internet? You're tuning in episode 18 of the Steam Deck podcast, Flip Screen Games' weekly video game podcast, all about Valve's hot new handheld, the Steam Deck. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined as always by my very good friends and co-hosts, Mr. Stephen Radford.
Hello, hello.
And Mr. Max Wright.
Gabagool.
Gabagool to you too, Mr. Max Wright. It is a momentous week here on the Steam Deck podcast because I'm hoping anyway that 170 new listeners have just jumped right over to the show because you just got yourself a brand new Steam Deck during last night's Game Awards. Let me ask, did either of you win?
Yeah, I was gonna say 169 because I won the account MILF Hunter. That was me.
That's you?
Definitely. That's me. Yeah, I can announce here. That's me. I can reveal my secret identity. The mask can come off. I am MILF Hunter.
I am the MILF Hunter.
And I did win a Steam Deck. No, I didn't win.
Yeah, none of my 300 bot accounts won either, so, you know.
Damn.
What can you do? Yeah, what's the point?
Yeah, you know, you did your best, though. You did your best. And
spent $500 on those bot accounts as well. So
you could have just bought Steam Deck.
Should have just bought Steam Deck, yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully y'all went and entered, and if anybody in our audience won, I really want to hear from you, all right? I want to hear what your experience was like, so make sure you write in. Because if you did win, you should have an email from Valve today, I think, hitting you up.
They send the emails out pretty much instantly, from what I can tell.
There you
go. They had a lot of problems. I was watching over on Steam.tv, and to begin with, there was no countdown or draw banner or anything, and then it suddenly appeared, and then it was glitching out and only showing once every 5 minutes that there was a new winner, and it was stuck on drawing the next winner kind of thing. And we had a comment from Jermaine Taylor over on YouTube on the video that last week's podcast, and they said the giveaway has been taken over by bots. Almost all of these Steam Decks are going to scalpers as we speak. And I think there was a bit of confusion. Well, I think there was a bit of confusion because, at one point during the show, all of the accounts that were showing were just showing as numbers, and that wasn't bot accounts. I think their system had broken and stopped showing usernames and started showing account IDs for actual Steam accounts instead.
The On Deck account tweeted, if you happen to see long numbers instead of profile names winning Steam Decks during the event, that was a temporary display bug. Those numbers were the Steam IDs of actual people winning, but profile names were not loading correctly. Apologies for any confusion.
Yeah, but the chat was a whole mess. No one knew what was going on. Everyone was spamming with exclamation mark commands. They would be exclamation mark Steam Deck, exclamation mark claim, and thinking that they actually had to do something when all you had to do was just be there on the page, and it was just drawing out a random person watching it.
What do you expect gamers to read directions and then follow them? Come on now.
It was confusing though, because I don't think they'd put that they were going to email people pretty much until yesterday, until the show had happened.
Yeah, I was very confused about basically the whole process because I assumed it would be. I don't know. They didn't really communicate it. They said go here, sign up here. So I did both those things, but at no point did I think, okay, so if I was to leave it going, would I have to accept it? Would I have to be watching live to click OK? Would they just add it to my account? How would it work? But yeah. Yeah, it was sort of not very well communicated, really. I mean, not that it probably had an effect on the actual giveaway, but...
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that the Steam.tv that we were speaking about on last week's episode, right? And I alluded to the fact that my theory was that they were testing this and they wanted to get Steam.tv up as a platform. The page that was up last week, which was branded as Steam TV and you could log in and they were airing CSGO, that page disappeared, and Steam.tv just redirected to the Game Awards sale page on the Steam store itself. And then it was just an embedded video player on that page itself, and you had to expand the chat if you wanted to view the chat, but it was just drawing along. Very, very strange. That
it's actually still happening.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah,
it's they've taken Steam.tv down now, and it just redirects to the Game Awards thing.
And I guess all of our theories from last week have just been shot down, really, haven't they? They didn't announce anything. It wasn't sort of a big launch for anything. It wasn't they were testing anything. It just seemed to be a place to keep track of who's winning, really. Or I don't know. It's really odd that they would host that and go through the effort.
I think it speaks to one of the things I mentioned last week, where like not to say that I wasn't also speculating about some kind of an announcement, but I I made the comparison to what they did at Tokyo Game Show, right? And I think it's just them wanting to evangelize the Steam Deck and make it something that more casual players are aware of, right? Because there are a lot of people that tune in and watch the Game Awards that are maybe not super tapped in on like Twitter or like don't play PC games and are just not aware of the Steam Deck as a product, right? Because you got to think, right? It's only just been a couple of weeks since you've been able to order one and get one without having to wait a long time. So like when you think about not only were they giving one away every minute, they were like a co-sponsor to some degree, right? Like they got name dropped multiple times. Jeff brought up the fact that they were giving away Steam Decks every minute multiple times. They were featured in the AMD trailer where they had the whole AMD's like AMD powers games, and like there were multiple shots of a Steam Deck in there. I think Valve is just trying to position themselves as, more of a stakeholder, right? As one of the like as a platform holder rather than just being like, we're the de facto home for PC gaming, right? And it's like we all know that that's not the case anymore, right? Like there are other opportunities between Epic and just people.
I still think they kind of are the de facto home.
They're
I
still
think
the market
most
leader.
Gamers, yeah,
don't get
they
me wrong,
want to be there.
But I think that they want to expand that audience, right? And show that like
Absolutely.
just because, maybe you don't see yourself as a PC gamer, but with a Steam Deck you could become one, right? And like that doesn't require you to, go through the hurdles that are associated with PC gaming if you don't want to, and like that's, one of the things we talk about on this show all the time. And I think showing up at the Game Awards, which is like, arguably the most mainstream, the most accepted game of the year event, right? Like I think
I kind of feel like people
thing.
see it as the de facto standard, right? If you win the game of the year that I think people are talking about when they're talking about game of the year is the Game Awards game of the year.
Yeah.
And
like
a lot
it's
of
the
people
Oscars
tune in
for video
that.
games, for better or for worse, right? Like it is that event. And we're going to talk all about the Game Awards over on the Flip Screen Games podcast, so it's already up if you're listening to this now. But yeah, I think it's them wanting to show that the Steam Deck is something that they're behind, and like they want to get it in more people's hands. They want to get more people talking about it and evangelizing it, and showing that it is, just as viable a place to play the next hot game that gets shown off at the Game Awards as your Switch or your PlayStation or your Xbox or your PC.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit strange though that we didn't see anything from them really on the actual show itself, other than the giveaway, which obviously Jeff referenced, and he also referenced the giveaways that were happening on Twitch, and they were also happening on Discord. Other than that, they don't really have any kind of presence there. Like, yes, they were featured in the AMD advert, but that's AMD advertising them as a company and their chips and how they're powering all of these gaming consoles and systems and devices. I thought we would have at least got like an ad from them or something, like talking about Steam Deck and what that's done and what they've achieved this year, and like they're bringing it to new markets and what the plan is for 2023. Thought maybe we would have seen something like that.
I mean, I would have at least expected. You remember back when the Switch first ever came out, and we had all the adverts of people playing basketball with it, or the guy was at home playing Zelda on his Switch. You kind of expect that would be a good time to debut like a major gaming event after the system's finally available for full purchase. You do like a guy sitting at his screen playing Elden Ring Game of the Year, one of the nominees. He's sitting there playing on his PC. He looks at the watch. Oh snap! I've got to go out. Stands up, walks out the door, takes his Steam Deck with him, continues playing Elden Ring. Right, that kind of immediately explained the core concept of it to millions of people who are watching it, and get not just here's a Steam Deck, win a Steam Deck. It's this is what this thing can do, explained very clearly. And I feel like that's the kind of thing we could have expected from them as well.
My guess is that they just don't feel like they're there yet, right? Because I mean, a couple weeks ago we talked about how they do have kind of a longer term game plan for rolling out the console to like retailers and having it be a more mass market product than it currently is. And I wonder if they just feel like it's not the time yet for that, right? Because that commercial then like, okay, cool, like where can I go get one? Oh, you can go order one on our website, and there's already a model that's out of stock again that you have to wait until January. It's like, you're muted, Steve.
think most people are used to that. I think a lot of people are used to going to a specific store to order something. Like, I think for a while, the Meta Quest was only available through when it was called the Oculus Quest or the Oculus Rift. You could only buy it direct. And then they eventually moved to like Amazon, and then they moved to Best Buy, and it became a more mass market product. I think I agree with you. This is not going to be the year that this is the hot device
They
that everyone's
wanna
getting for Christmas, but that could be next year. I think it could be next holiday that this is the one. I think this year, probably the thing that's going to be under everyone's tree was that bargain basement Xbox Series S. If you're looking for a new game console for your kid or something, you're going to get them that with Game Pass. It's cheap. It's an easy route in.
or
The Steam
PlayStation
Deck at the
5
moment
because
still
it's
is.
actually been more available again. You know, and like
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
demand
yeah,
hasn't
yeah.
gone away. It's just easier to get one now.
Yeah, I don't see that as ever really being like a hot product. Like it's kind of always going to have the demand. I think it's always just going to be the same level of demand until you can walk into a store and just be like, oh, there's loads of them on the shelf. That's
Right.
always going to have. That's never going to be seen as like, oh, this is the hot product this year. Whereas something like the Steam Deck, I could see next year when if it does come to retail stores or to Amazon or to other online retailers, I could see that becoming like a hot item and everyone wanting to get their hands on one, especially as more games become optimized for Steam Deck, as more people become used to what the Steam Deck is, and word of mouth, right? I've shown my Steam Deck off to a bunch of friends, and they're like, "Oh, I really want one." Like, and my dad, for example, he's ordered one because he listens to the show. He's seen what me and Pete and now Max has been up to with the Steam Deck, and he's excited about it. He's excited about the product, and I think like everyone evangelizing this product only goes so far. And I kind of agree with Max though that it would have been a good time for them to get an ad in place. Maybe it's just too close to Christmas and they're too close to the holiday season. And they're like, well, is there any point investing in marketing at this point when we're already giving away
Well,
170 Steam Decks?
and again, right? Like if you go and look at the page for ordering a Steam Deck, like the cheapest model is not available right now. Like you won't get it until January or February, and maybe that
can't
got moved
even
back
go.
again since I looked the other day. But
So you
I
can't
think
even
with,
impulse buy them for Christmas, really.
I think with that
I
in
think
mind,
it was
right,
in,
is
in
like,
Europe, it was okay because I added one to my cart yesterday, 1 to 2 weeks, because I was going to get one for my partner for Christmas.
yeah, I just did that actually. But the middle one, I feel like I get where you two are coming from with that, but I feel like if you're not ready to make a bigger marketing push right now, it's like it's probably like wasted resources, right? To create an advert for something that you're not
Yeah,
really ready to
you've got
sell
like
in mass yet.
even if it wasn't that though, right? You've got a captive audience. If you've got Gabe up there, like thanking everyone, that
You
goes
think
such a
Gabe
long
wants to take
way
a
for people.
24-hour flight from New Zealand?
No, like a video. Like he
Oh,
was in a
okay.
video
Fair
for the
enough, fair
Golden
enough.
Joystick like acceptance. I feel like he could easily be there like saying like, "Hi everyone, it's Gabe. Thanks so much," you know. And he could be like dressed up in a Santa suit or something. Like he dressed up in the like delivery guy outfit when he
You're
was
so
like
obsessed
out
with him being
delivering them.
Santa. It's like the third time you
He
brought that
does
up.
look like Santa.
He chose to grow the beard. To be fair, that was his decision.
Yeah. Just like nestling under people's trees.
Sorry, nestling what under people's? No, that's not moving.
Yeah, the
Steam
Steam Deck, let's put that straight under there.
You bastard. Yeah, I mean,
What-
yeah, I it's interesting. I think it definitely feels like a thing where they probably could have done more, but I also think just in general, like this kind of buy-in from them is like a newer thing. Like, you know, historically we didn't see Valve showing up at events like the Game Awards and Tokyo Game Show and, you know, doing that kind of
They've never had
playing
to,
the
though.
game like that.
They've never had to. The hardware they've always done has been niche. It's been like VR or the Steam machines. This is their first big play as like into the consumer electronics world, and they haven't really needed to. I'm curious though, what did you think of this experience of watching it if you watched it on Steam.tv? Because the most I saw was 850,000 people watching, and it seemed to be pretty stable for a while.
I think they
But
hit
my God, it's
900K
not-
at peak, which is
Yeah.
a lot for a small like news service,
but it's not anywhere near like the level of YouTube or Twitch at this point. Like
No.
I was main watching it on my TV on YouTube, and then I just had the only reason I had Steam TV open was for the drop to see if my name came up. Was essentially the only reason I had it open.
What's the full thing?
Steam pretty stable though. Huh?
Did you watch the whole event?
Yeah, I ended up watching it all in the end. I actually thought it was a good event, and we'll talk more about it over on the Flip Screen Games podcast. I've seen a bunch of people having some kind of negativity against it. I actually think this was the best one in
Really?
in a number of
Gamers
years.
being negative about something? That's I feel like it's just such a positive. Really, I've never ever seen someone complain about a video
just
game
love
event.
to praise and throw praise around
Why?
and love each other, lift each other up.
Yeah, definitely.
No, there was some good stuff there. There's some good stuff for Steam Deck owners for sure. But a lot of the news, the like big stuff that I was interested in, it came out before the show. Like the stuff that affects me that I want to play on my Steam Deck, like the new Vampire Survivors DLC that got announced like the same day, like earlier that day, whether they were holding it for the show or it was to go alongside the mobile app release. Diablo 4 obviously had its press event earlier this week, where we saw reviews come out about it. But I'm excited about playing that on PC and on Steam Deck. So there was a lot there for PC players, but it was not a PC focused event. So
It's not supposed to be,
No.
I think it's cool that we had as much of a presence from the Steam Deck as we got, honestly, because it was a little more than I think I expected. Just in terms of like how prevalent it like felt like it was. Oh yeah, like once every 30 minutes, it's like, hey, don't forget the Steam Deck exists if you want to get one.
Yeah, and it was the butt of a lot of Jeff's jokes.
The joke he made after Christopher Judge's speech, I thought was so funny. Where it's like, I guess he wanted to get a couple more Steam Decks out there for everybody. And I was like, yeah, they like forget how to turn the music on, like. And then when they finally got the music
getting louder and louder and louder, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
It was amazing because it's just his booming voice, and I was like, "Yeah, keep it going, brother. Let's get a couple more of these Steam Decks out there."
I saw Danny's tweet over from NoClip, and he said, "Oh, for God's sake, Mr. Pacino needs to sit down." And you just saw like Al Pacino in the background just stood there,
withering.
like, please let me sit down. I'm an elderly man at this point.
Yeah, so like we said, we'll be talking all about that over on the Flip Screen podcast. But we do have some more Steam Decks. Oh, you got something, Max? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, yeah. Just a quick question, really. Where they seem to be, making Jeff say it a lot, getting it out there, getting the name out, things like this. How long till they go like the PlayStation or Switch route, where they pay a portion of the marketing, and for that, at the start or the end of the trailer, there is, I don't know, the Steam Deck.
Yeah. Have you seen the one that they have made for the new big picture mode? It's so nice, and I could easily see that becoming like a Steam ident. It's got like a really cool noise, and then it turns into a game controller, and it's really
that's cool.
Yeah, that would be great.
I was thinking about that when I forget which one it was, but it was one of the game trailers, and at the end they have the like smattering of icons of all the places it's coming, and I'm like, when do we get a Steam Deck one of those?
Steam's on there, but there's no Steam Deck. I could easily see people putting Steam Deck on there.
Yeah, you'd think that the sort of things that Nintendo did when they were really pushing that Switch in the first year. I mean, also, how long until we get like it's almost like a high profile Steam exclusive that is
that's never going to happen.
I don't think so either. But it would be a big like. When you talk about a game, this is only coming to PS5. You say, this is only coming to Steam, as opposed to.
I really think that goes against Valve's values and ethos and what they see the PC being.
I think it would just have to be a Valve game.
Be able to play anything.
The only games exclusive to Steam are games made by Valve, and they're not. Grain of salt. I know the orange box exists and whatever, but like, we know what I mean. So I think it would have to be that.
Maybe when the next, I don't know, when Portal 3 comes out, or Half-Life 3 or whatever, they say only on Steam, and it's we get that.
I don't know if they will, because like they brought Portal to Switch this year with the collector's edition. Like you got both of those, and they found pieces that Data Miners found pieces of Half-Life in there. Managed to get Half-Life 2 running on the Switch, so it seems like they were in the middle of porting Half-Life 2 as well. So. I don't see it. I don't think Valve care about it. Like they don't even care about keeping SteamOS for themselves or keeping the UI, like the Steam Deck UI for themselves. They want it to be an open platform, and they just don't care. As long as you're buying games via Steam, they're still making money at the end of the day.
They're getting their they're getting their nut either way. And I think it's the same thing when it comes to like porting it to other platforms, right? It's like if you want to play Portal on Switch instead of PC because you're not a PC gamer. It's no skin off their nose.
I do wonder if we'll ever get to a stage though where, similar to what PlayStation, Xbox, and even AMD and Nvidia do, where they sponsor a game, and they'll have, say, an Nvidia game will have DLSS in, an AMD game will have FSR2 in. I wonder if we'll get to a point where there's a Steam sponsored game, and that is then optimized for the Steam Deck, and it has like specific stuff in there that Valve's assisted with, and it's like made to be like a platinum experience on the Steam Deck.
I could see that, but I feel like it would be just as likely for Valve to create, some kind of and I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure that this doesn't already exist, right? Because I don't really know what goes into getting your game to be quote unquote like verified to run well on Steam Deck, right? That's a whole tag now on the Steam store. I don't really know like how they like what barriers you need to pass for that to be something that you get awarded.
No, I'm curious about
but
that.
I would imagine
you can manually submit to be approved. So
and then Valve reviews it, or
yes, they have actual people that will play the game and review it.
So my thought is, I would imagine it's probably more likely that they'll develop some kind of, like best practices for getting your game on Steam Deck, and it'll be like an extra incentive where like, if you optimize it for Steam Deck on day one, like you'll get on the on deck page and you'll be served to all these users who want games on Steam Deck, and like
and you gain access to potentially over 1 million people who have access to the Steam Deck on the go and want to buy your game.
So I feel like it's probably, just knowing Valve, right? Like I would imagine it would be it's on the developers, but they make it very easy to do, right? Rather than Valve like involving themselves in that process more. Unless it was an internally
they do take
game.
a hands-off approach in other ways, like Proton, for example. Like a developer can't do anything when it comes to Proton. That's all on Valve's side, and they're the ones that are making Proton compatible with games. So they'll go through, they'll play a game, and they'll be like, okay, we need to make this tweak and this tweak to Proton in order for this game to work. And we'll talk about that after the plugs on some of the updates that came to Proton this week.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I could see it being a thing where they push it as a bigger initiative, but who knows? Maybe it will be a thing where they develop like a software solution that makes it easier to get games to run, optimized on Steam Deck, and there might be like some layer of, software that they can develop that like can go and look at your game's code and try to like, hey, here's what we think will work. Now you go and make the tweaks, and then we submit it, and some kind of like automation that does, make it easier, give developers that incentive to go ahead and do that work.
Yeah, or at the very least, I kind of feel like if we can get Steam Deck profiles for games, so maybe Valve looks at it and says, right, we've gone into your settings, we've tested it, and this works the best on Steam Deck. Add this in as like a profile. And if you detect that we're launching on Steam Deck, boot into this, and this will be like the optimized settings.
Some games have that. My friend was playing Cyberpunk 2077, and he said that when he was flicking through the presets, it had like low, medium, high, custom, Steam Deck, and
interesting.
He thought that was just like a thing that games had, because he was like, "Oh, are you playing that on the Steam Deck, bro?" And I was like, "No, I've just sort of loaded it normally." He was like, "Oh, have you checked for a Steam Deck setting?" I was like, "I didn't know that was a thing. It wasn't in the game I was playing, but yeah."
Yeah, I know CD Projekt Red have been adding it to all of their games. I think it's coming to The Witcher 3 as part of that next gen patch. The Cyberpunks was broken for a good while. It said it was Steam Deck, but it was actually ultra high, and when you put it on, it just didn't work properly. So I think they probably patched that by now. But that's the kind of thing I'd like to see. Like have a Steam Deck setting. You've detected that I'm running on the Steam Deck. I'm running on that hardware. And you boot straight into that. So it is like a one-click solution for the people that want to be able to just boot it up and play a game.
I bet you that's the goal, And I mean, shoot, that could even be a thing that maybe eventually extends to the the player profile stuff, right? Like where like users create like the controller maps and everything. I wouldn't be surprised if they implemented some kind of solution for that, where it's like, oh, hey, like 90% of players are using this homebrew thing, and this seems to be a good facsimile, and like there might be ways for them to take some of that work and reduce it a little bit by developing systems that are smart. We'll see, though. So we've got some more to talk about in just a second here, but let me remind you that this episode of the Steam Deck podcast is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of December. They are, of course, Christian Oliveria, Christopher Valenz, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, a.k.a. Asobi, Mary Berry, Wakahula, and Zaid Ida. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. Y'all are the realest of the real, and we greatly appreciate your continued support of the Steam Deck podcast, as well as all of our sister shows. Speaking of which, remember, like we said, if you want to hear our full thoughts on the Game Awards, go check out this week's episode of the Flip Screen Games podcast, where the three of us jumped into, I'm going to say, most of the announcements, because there's a lot. It's a lot this year. But we're going to do the whole review. We'll talk about everything that was revealed. We'll talk about our favorite moments, our favorite trailers, all that good stuff. So if you want to hear our thoughts on that, make sure you go check out this week's show. Let's jump into some updates. Steve, you have highlighted 3 updates we've got here. SteamOS 3.4's beta, Proton 7.0-5, and Proton Experimental all got some pretty significant updates this week. Tell us all about them.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight 3.4 beta specifically because we spoke a couple of weeks ago on our gift guide about the 8BitDo Ultimate controller. And we said get the Bluetooth version because it works with the Steam Deck, because at the time, the one with the dongle, you needed to go into desktop mode, manually install some community drivers. It was a bit of a pain. They've actually added support for the dongle out of the box now. So if you get one of those for Christmas, you can just plug the dongle straight into the back of your dock and it will work. I need to get confirmation from someone. And if anyone listening knows, has one of these and has tried it, if you can boot the Steam Deck with it, because if you can turn the Steam Deck on through that in the same way that you can with the Steam controller, I'm probably going to end up getting one of those controllers because that'll be the perfect solution. You'll be able to pick up the 8BitDo controller from its little cradle, hold down the button to turn on the Steam Deck, boot it from sleep, and away you go. You're playing your game, which would be really nice. I know you were looking at these 8BitDo controllers.
I'm a big fan. I really like 8BitDo's work. I think they make really nice controllers, and yeah, if we can get confirmation that you can use it to turn on the Steam Deck from far away, I will 100% pick one of these up.
What do you think of them, Max? Have you tried any of the 8BitDo stuff?
I have never, but I do like the look of them, and I understand that they are, if you're looking for a third-party controller, they're generally, for the more affordable ones, some of the best you can get.
Especially if you're playing like
the
retro
new one
stuff, the
Yes,
really
yeah,
nice
exactly.
D-pads.
They all come in like smaller form. They do such a wide range of things. This one you're talking about here is the one that comes on a little stand, and it looks like the Switch Pro controller almost, but it's sort of nice and black. And is that the one, the ultimate controller? Is that correct?
Yeah, it comes in black and white, actually. So you want the one that, either of them work now. There was one that was Bluetooth only, which was the white one. You can now get the black one if you want to as well, which is Bluetooth and RF. And yeah, it looks like a Pro controller or an Xbox controller, but it's got a couple of extra buttons on the back, like the paddles, which is really cool. And I think for the money, it's probably the one to go for. I think I still would go with the Bluetooth and the wireless one for the extra 15 pounds it is in the UK. So the Bluetooth and the 2.4 gigahertz wireless is $59.99 in the UK, and the wireless only is 46.
It's really not bad.
Yeah,
you can flick your Switch open, connect to it. Whereas you'd have to have a dock, or I don't even know if you can use an adapter to make dongles work through the port. But then again, the port's on the bottom, so it just wouldn't work at all, would it?
You mean on the Switch?
Yes, on the Switch. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think none of the dongles work with it. I know 8BitDo also do a wireless adapter that allows you to use an Xbox controller, like an old Xbox controller that didn't support Bluetooth. But I think most of the like Xbox One controllers since the Xbox One S all supported Bluetooth. So I think most people have a Bluetooth Xbox controller at this point. But yeah, I wanted to specifically call that out because I'm probably going to end up picking one of those controllers up at some point. And then Proton 7.0-5, which was Proton Next. We didn't touch on it. Valve has now started doing Proton Next as well as Proton Experimental. So Proton Next is the next version that's going to be released as stable. It's kind of like a beta version, whereas Proton Experimental is like the preview alpha version that adds some stuff in that may not make it down to stable. So Proton Next, now 7.0-5, adds some extra support for some new games in there. Two that I specifically wanted to touch on: Nancy Drew, Legend of the Crystal Skull. I'm a huge Nancy Drew stan. I love those games. Everyone should play a Nancy Drew game in their life. So I'm looking forward to playing some Nancy Drew games.
Just gotta call out this incredible addition to the library, Nancy Drew Mysteries.
And Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb. Did either of you play this back in like the PS2 original Xbox era?
No.
Love that game.
No,
LucasArts classic.
I've heard of it,
really
but yeah,
good.
I never played it.
Yeah, so that's in there.
You've played a lot of games that like I only my oldest friends have played because you were like a weird PC kid. So it's like all my.
It sounds like Steve had like a PC hand-me-down upbringing, you know, where it was just like, oh,
I wasn't hand-me-down. I was sat next to my mum or my dad playing this game. I watched my mum defeat the Butcher in Diablo. Like I used to watch my mum play Diablo on the PC.
It's just funny because
like a Windows 95 PC clicking like crazy on Diablo.
Diablo like is a game that I know young people have played, right? Whereas like there are sometimes you'll throw out this game that I've only heard like men in their 40s talk about, and I'm like, oh okay, like yeah, you're playing Indiana Jones from 1986.
And the Emperor's Tomb is so good. It's so good. No, it's from the Xbox, like original Xbox era. It was a really good game.
I had to think through a lot of the games that were included, and I expected them to be. I thought I misread a few of them, and I was like, oh no, I don't know any of these games at all. But I think it's interesting that I don't know if it's intentional or if it just happens with some changes. These games are now playable, but I do think it is interesting that all of these sort of scrimbly bimbo games are being updated to work on the Steam Deck. It's just really, or the Steam Deck's being updated to be able to play them. It's just what is.
I think part of it is they're targeting probably some APIs that are in very popular games, and a side effect is that these old games also use the same APIs. And when they've implemented it and they've tested, and now it works. I don't think they're going in and saying we really need Nancy Drew to work on the Steam Deck.
I just love like the very specific notes, right? Like it's like if you click on we'll have the link down below. The change log on GitHub, right? It's like available in Proton 7.0, and like for the games that are like now playable, it's like oh yeah, cool. Like new games are playable. That's interesting. But then it's like there's a list of just like all the fixes that they made, and it's like the most specific shit. Like like
Someone would have complained about it, right? Like,
sure, yeah, of course, it's great. But
yeah, his name's Steve Radford.
But it's like,
and he was like, I can't play my Nancy Drew, please, Gabe.
But it says like it's like fix Marvel Spider-Man remastered displaying dialogue about outdated drivers on AMD systems. You know, it's like okay, that is sure.
Would be annoying. You wouldn't want that to happen all the time.
But it's just what a very specific problem that this addresses, right? Like.
Sackboy not launching on first attempt.
Fix Planet Zoo randomly crashing. Like how?
Again, that's another thing that you like really don't want to happen. Another thing I really wanted to call out was implement network video support for VR chat. And it's very interesting that they are potentially targeting getting VR chat to work on Linux and on potentially the Steam Deck hardware for their potential upcoming Deckard headset.
Can you run VR chat on a desktop and walk around as if, or is it entirely
yeah, you can play it.
VR?
Yeah, it's like they call it flat mode. So like it's a non-VR game is a flat game, so you can just roam around VR chat as if you're not in VR. It's no problem. So if you ever want to play VR chat and you don't have a headset, you can just play it on your Steam Deck.
Isn't that just chat?
It's pretty good fun.
It's just called
chat.
It is.
But it's like it's a cool space.
Just
you can go play games and stuff. You know, it's the actual metaverse that people want to go to, not Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse. And then on Proton Experimental, which I think probably all of us here are running on Proton Experimental in some way or another. They've added like a bunch of playable games, like Persona 5 Royal is only playable on Experimental, Uncharted, Legacy of Thieves collection. But they've also fixed all of the shit with the new EA launcher. So flickering on Steam Deck in handheld mode, the displaying a blank window, the EA desktop app failing to update, rendering games completely unplayable. All of that's been resolved. So if you were playing a game like Max was, I know we didn't talk about it last week, I think you were playing the Mass Effect collection, right? You ran into some issues.
Yep. Yeah, I haven't tested it with the new version, but I mean, it luckily it started working between podcasts last week anyway. So, but hopefully this will now no longer be an issue, and everyone can buy Jedi Survivor or any of the games that they want to play on EA, but maybe from EA, but are maybe a bit nervous about buying on the Steam Deck. This might hopefully, if it works in the next couple of months, make that easier to digest.
Yeah, hopefully.
There was something else updated on Proton Experimental that might interest you, Steve. Sorry, Pete, not you, Steve. Because I've just loaded it up right now. That is Marvel Snap that now connects.
Yo,
on the
I
Steam Deck.
know. I saw that. I was like, let's go.
Just as soon as I read this, I was like, oh, I'll test it out. But the most annoying thing is that it still plays. I didn't realize it still plays in the mobile. I'm just going to play it on my phone because I also
Oh,
can't.
you just
log in.
plays vertically on the
Yeah.
Steam. That was the point.
Yeah, I mean, I know
What is
that
point in
the
that?
video, the audio listeners can't see it, but it's just got bars either side. So it's got the black bar from
It looks like that Downfall game on.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's like the thing
Like,
that they
I
do
wanna be able
whenever
to
they
do
like port a
that.
Game Boy game or something, and it's like you just put some borders on the side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but then, like it's a worse resolution than my phone. It runs at 59 FPS, not 60 FPS, like on my phone. So I feel like I'm not gonna pick up this.
My guy's
playing this.
losing sleep over 1 frame per second.
1 FPS.
Well, I was thinking, I thought maybe it'd be cool to have it on here and like when I used to play Hearthstone on like an iPad, and you had a
Sure.
much bigger screen, and you could sort of move things around.
You don't really
Whereas
need the bigger screen. Like they built the board to be phone sized.
No, but it is nice,
know?
isn't it? To
Yeah, for sure.
rotated it 90 degrees.
Landscape. Yeah.
And had the 3 boards run like that and have your deck down
I wonder
here,
if
and it
they'll
would
do
have
that
looked nice.
down the line now that they've ported it to run on other platforms.
I'm going to uninstall that now, by the way, just so you know.
I just wanted to show you.
I did just want to show you.
Well, I appreciate it.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't think I'll put it on there.
Worth checking out these.
Like I thought about. I remember like when I first got my Steam Deck, I'm like, oh, can I get Pokemon Showdown on this thing? I'm like, I'm just gonna play it on my phone. It just works. It's good on the phone.
Some things just make sense on the phone. I actually think Vampire Survivors is going to do really well as a phone game. Like that makes a lot of sense.
Of the severe lack of inputs.
It makes sense, but I also
nothing to touch.
I feel like you're gonna miss the screen real estate. I started playing that game, by the way.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna want to see what's coming so that I can like plan. You know.
What did you play it on?
I'm playing it on Steam Deck.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, because I bought him a copy, Max, like months ago, and he's not once touched it.
Well, when did he start playing?
Wait, you're fucking giving me shit. I just told you I started it. You're like, yeah, you piece of shit. I bought it for you weeks ago.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. What do you think of it? Where are you up to? Like, who are you like mainlining at the moment? Like, how are you feeling about Vampire Survivors?
Describe the character by vibe, not by name, because all their names are nonsense.
I have no idea what their names are. I like the guy he's the last one in the first row. He's the one that automatically gets two projectiles.
Yeah.
I like him.
His vibe is powerful.
Yes,
FYI.
that tends to be my strategy. Is like getting multiple projectiles so that I can walk through crowds and not take damage.
I would say most of my
you can walk through crowds with like garlic. You can get the garlic on the go, or the Bibles.
The freeze is good.
I often do.
Time freeze.
Yeah.
That is.
I think I'm what? I'm still on the second level. I haven't put
a
ton of time into it, but it's fun. I like it.
No.
I think it's interesting. I like the loop of it. Like, I think it does the roguelite thing really well. And I like that there's, like, enough consistency in the way that things drop where, like, I can gravitate towards strategies that I like rather than just being like, oh, this is what I got, so let me, like, see what happens, you know? So I like that. I like that it gives you, like, a little bit more control. I think the thing that
you get a lot more control eventually.
Cool. I think the thing that so far I'm feeling a little at odds with, and I'm imagining that this is a thing that will get better as I get further in, is just like doing a run and being like, I don't really like know what the point of this is. Like, you know, like it's like
30 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. And I guess once I do that, it'll be like, you get the next one. Cool. Because it's just like I just feel like I'm just doing.
You can also kind of set yourself goals. Like, I'll do a run and I'll be like, this run, I want to get as much gold as I can.
Right.
So I'll be going and targeting all of the light sources, trying to get gold. I'll bump up my luck as much as I can, so I get more gold and I get the chance of more chests. I get the chance that those chests have 3 or 5 things in there and more gold in there. And sometimes I'll go in and be like, I really want to just complete this unlock. I want to get this. I want to do this challenge that's been set. Like, get this person to level 80. Complete this stage within 30 minutes, kind of thing.
Okay.
You can tell that Pete never played with unbranded Lego. Make your own fun, Pete. Just
I played
go
with
into
plenty
it.
of unbranded Legos. That's about
Jump, make a block
expression.
like it.
I can't express
Doesn't
myself
sound
in this
like it,
game.
mate.
I'm just walking
What do you
around in a
mean?
friggin' circle.
The most fun I had was seeing how many things I could complete in one run. When I was
Sure.
hitting like 7, 10, 12 achievements. Oh yeah, like I've perfectly got, I don't know, 4 of these new upgrades in one run. Beautiful. I've found all of these things, broken enough of these things. I've killed enough of these things. Like, yeah, this is it feels good. That little ping when you finish a run and it goes diddle diddle 7 times, and you're like, yes. It's taken forever for this screenshot to confirm, but yes, like I did it.
Yes, I got to put some more time into it, but I am having fun with it. It's been
Bloody well do.
it's been a real distraction from Marvel Snap lately, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's how I play. It's like a nice kind of a amuse-bouche between like big games. Like I'll be like, oh, I'm playing some Persona 5 and I'm playing some Resident Evil Village. In between that, I want to play a 30-minute stint on Vampire Survivors because I know it's never really going to be any longer than that.
I did that last night, yeah, where like I was I realized I was too tired to keep playing Persona because I was like reading and I was like, okay, I'm like starting to fall asleep here, but like I'm not quite ready to go to bed. So I was like, all right, cool. Let me save and I'll jump in.
I'll just move this stick around. It's
yeah.
easy.
Yeah, just walk in a circle a couple times and get some EXP, and it's very satisfying.
Have you got the map yet? It's a bit of a spoiler, but have you got a map yet?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, here we go, Pete.
Okay.
Here you go. Something fun for you to look for.
There's
Get
a
back up
lot
there,
of
son.
things you need to get.
Okay. I got a lot of game ahead of me. All right, let's jump into a question from the question block we got here from Jamie Lassie over on. That's how we said it, right? Is it Jamie Lassie? I feel like Jamie told me how to say it, and I'm now not remembering, and I feel bad.
Yes,
bad hosting.
yes. It was. Yeah, I'm not going to say why it's that, but yes, I'll tell you off mic why it's that because I don't want to say in case he doesn't want it on mic.
Okay, we don't want to like dox Jamie. Okay, gotcha. I was like, I don't know what that means, but all right. Anyway, this one goes from Jamie Lassie. He wrote it. It said, "Great podcast, great YouTube videos, awesome as always." Thank you so much, Jamie. I got my Steam Deck around 5 weeks ago. Started emulator stuff after some tinkering. Got through almost all of RE2 Remake. Great game. Spent a lot of money on the Steam sale, and now I have a ton of games. And then God of War Ragnarok took over, and I finished that, and then I needed something colorful and easy in my life, so I'm hooked on Pokemon Scarlet. Do you know where I can buy some more time in my life? Peace.
CDKs.com will sell you time for a cheaper price than you can probably get elsewhere. So have a look on there.
I really wish I knew the answer to this because I feel like there are so many like video ideas I've got in my my notes app on my phone of like I'm gonna do all of these things, and I've like got interviews scheduled and all sorts of stuff, like ideas popping in my head, and I just have not had time to do it because of that and like podcasts and also the day job and then just life things
and like finding time
to play games for fun,
to play games just for fun, and then having things to talk about. Yeah,
It felt like you were going to say you had a video planned about how to get more time. Like, here's how to activate the Bernard's Watch plugin.
Yeah, I can't reveal that answer because it's just too powerful. So maybe I'll release that exclusively for patrons over at patreon.com/flipscreengames.
Just like the thumbnail is just like the thumbnail's just like Steve holding a chicken right like by the neck, and he's like, "Here's the black magic you need to do so that you can unlock the secret of more time." Here, I'm going to teach you how to enter the 4th dimension and find new ways to spend time. Yeah, but I was talking about it with one of my best friends and bandmate M earlier, and I was lamenting how stacked the back half of this year has been and how tough it's been to keep up with releases. And like I was like, yeah, there's just like so many games on my backlog right now, and they were like, oh, like what's on your backlog? Like I think I'm gonna play Tunic next, but I'm interested to see like what other games you have on your radar. And I just started rattling games off. Like I didn't even go and look at the list that I have. It was literally just what are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. And I think I came up with like 12 games or something like that.
It's absolutely
It's
ridiculous.
gross.
And
It's
the
absolutely
number one on the
ridiculous.
list is Choo Choo Charles, which Pete will be streaming as he promised earlier this year.
Did anyone see the review?
Was it bad? I have no idea if it was good or not.
IGN gave it a 4.
Oh my god.
And that's all I saw.
So I have to play that
So-
awful game and then also be scared. It's great. Cuz it'll still scare me, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag from what I can tell. Some people have given it like 9s, some people have given it 4s.
9s? Bloody hell, okay, fine.
But it's like
yeah.
Man, like I'm looking at my
crazy.
list, right? It's like I got to finish God of War. There's Marvel Midnight Suns. We're playing Persona 5 for the game club. I wanted to play Tunic. I wanted to play Omori. I wanted to play Inscription, As Dusk Falls, Citizen Sleeper, Memoir Blue, Sifu. I still want to finish the very, very end of Cult of the Lamb because I got to the last boss and stopped playing. Ollie Ollie World I never got to. Overwatch 2 I never tried. Triangle Strategy. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Pentiment. Weird West I wanted to finish. Like, it's nuts. There's too many games.
And Game of the Year, Elden Ring. That's got to be top of the list to finish as well, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, totally.
Come on, mate. You and Steve both have to nut up and play the games. The Game of the Year nominated games that both of you refuse to play.
I'm sorry, you played all of them, Max? You played everyone?
God of War Ragnarok. I'm okay to play God of War. Like it's just,
Why haven't you done it then?
I need to play the first one.
He was too busy playing Days Gone, and with its everybody knows, right? Steve's one of the not woke reviewers, so he was able to play it and finish the game. Yeah,
that is true. That is
very
correct.
sleep
I thought it was okay.
Steve.
Yeah,
I
thought it was okay.
I feel like as the only true gamer on this podcast,
the number one
as someone who has-
tastemaker, some might
the
say.
number one tastemaker of Flip Screen Games, who has played both of those games. You both just need to just swap sides, get through them, and shut up about it.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening by the end of the year. Unfortunately,
You don't think you have time to play God of War 2018 and Ragnarok in 2 weeks?
Do you know I don't, and also get the rest of the castle done for the Persona 5 Game Club that we're recording next weekend.
I'm getting through it, buddy. I started chipping away. I'm like, all right, let's fucking go. Have I started Madarame's Palace yet? No, but
oh my god.
What do you want me to do? They're making me go to the batting cages and go to the I got stuff I gotta do.
No, it's so irritating.
I got stuff I gotta
already
do.
done all that stuff.
Steve, you got to take your time.
I know that's what it tells me to.
That's what the game tells you, So anyway, Jamie, I'm glad you got your Steam Deck. Congratulations. I'm glad you finally got your hands on it. I hope that you took a listen to our holiday gift guide and you can find your next Steam game over there, or or maybe one of the games you saw at the Game Awards. Who's to say?
Yeah, or an accessory. It's worth checking out. I'll put a link to the game to the gift guide down in the description on this video and the show notes.
Speaking of links to things down in the show notes, the last thing that we'll talk about real quickly here is just a pitch for your latest tutorial, Steve. You worked on a new tutorial on how to get quick resume working on the Steam Deck so that you can have the ability to swap between multiple games like one does on the Xbox. So why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I was dabbling around with some plugins with a Decky plugin last weekend called Pause Games, and it's terribly branded. Like, it sounds really dull, Pause Games. But if you combine this with CryoByte's CryoUtility script and you increase the swap file size, which is essentially the virtual RAM that's on the disk, and the SteamOS can write to it. You can get something pretty close to Xbox's quick resume. It's not persistent. It won't remain there when you turn the Steam Deck off and fully off and then back on. It doesn't dump it to disk. But you can get close. Like, you can have multiple games open at once. You can swap between one, or you can swap between 2 or potentially 3 games depending on how meaty they are. But I was in the video I played. I swapped between Euro Truck Simulator and Days Gone, 2 AAA games. No issue swapping between the two. They're both pretty resource heavy. I was able to, when I installed the Pause Game plugin and had it set up, correctly, it would hit 40 FPS in both of the games, which is where I was targeting. So I've been pretty happy with the results. I've actually been using it to switch between like a big game that I'm in the middle of playing, like something like a Days Gone or Resident Evil Village, to go and play Vampire Survivors and just like take 30 minutes and go play Vampire Survivors.
I was blown away by this video because it's just another one of those like that, Valve hasn't done it yet, so people in the community. Is this something you came up with personally and you put these two things together too, or is this just like they were designed for this purpose?
Paul's Games was designed for this purpose. Cryobyte's script is designed to improve performance, so you can kind of combine the two together. Paul's Games works great out of the box, but it doesn't work with really big games. It work great with, you say, playing like Case of the Golden Idol and Vampire Survivors, because they're not very resource heavy. But having multiple apps or games open, it doesn't like divert one from another because it's not been like terminated. So the Paul's Games plugin will essentially terminate all of the resources going to that game, and it will allow the other game that is in focus to use all of the resources.
Yeah, really impressed. Really good. Another fantastic bit of content. Steve, well done.
Thank you. It's not my work really. It's the developers and Cryobyte's work on the script. Go check out his videos if you haven't already.
It was you.
They're phenomenal.
That was all Steve.
Thanks for building that. Thanks for writing that Cryobyte script, Steve. Thanks for weird that you call it that,
I am Cryobyte.
Face reveal, finally.
Wow. Breaking all kinds of news here on the show today. So yeah, make sure you go check that out. Definitely one that I am interested in getting set up on my own Steam Deck. So go give that one a watch. And hey, just want to say thanks to everybody. We're up 978 subscribers as of today. So I'm hoping by the next time we chat, we may have passed that magical 1,000. So thank you so much to all the people who came and tuned in this year, particularly for this show. And the tutorials, you guys have been awesome, and the reaction to this show and all the Steam Deck content has been really, really cool and really special, and we've really been loving doing it. So thank you guys for coming and being a part of it and supporting us. We really appreciate you.
You're welcome, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, Max, you owe them a big thank you. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to afford you. So
that's true. I am very expensive.
How do we afford the #1 tastemaker?
How could we? How could we? Right? Yeah.
You could call me the game sommelier of the group.
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. Where did you do your training?
Pass.
Luke Potts.
You were so close. You gotta, if you don't do it in the Champagne region of France, you're not a real sommelier. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I open my games by holding them with the thumb inside them, and I take the top off with a saber. That's how I open all my games.
I love whatever.
You're like, this Vampire Survivors is corked. I don't want this. Take it back.
My favorite thing is when you watch Max do this, and he opens up a disc, and he's like, "Well, hold on. You gotta let the tannins breathe a little bit. You gotta let the game breathe before you install that day one patch. You can't just shove it right in the console. You're gonna ruin the flavor."
You have to decant the game into the binder with the other games to let the flavor mellow.
Of course, yeah.
God,
absolutely. So yeah, if you want to, if you want to learn all about how Max is a game sommelier, make sure you follow along. Everybody, flipscreen.games. That's the website. Come and keep up with us. It's the only way you're gonna learn these hot techniques. So. Thanks again to everybody for tuning into this week's episode of the Steam Deck Podcast. Remember, if you want to show your support, if you want to join the community, if you want to write into the show, however you want to get involved, head over to flipscreen.games. That's our website where you can find all the ways you can find us all over the web. Come join our Discord, become a Patreon supporter, however you choose to show your support, however you choose to get involved. We appreciate you tuning in, and we thank you. And we'll catch you next week for another episode of the Steam Deck Podcast. I've been Pete. Oh, wait, hold on. This is the part where I play music. For some reason, I'm messing it up this last week. I don't know. But here we go. Okay.
I'll sing if I have to.
Go ahead. You sing instead.
Pass.
See, this guy is just
set up these bold claims.
He was so ready. He was so ready. All right. Well, anyway, for the crew, I've been Pete. He's been Steve. All the way over there has been Max. We'll see you next week, everybody, for another episode of the Steam Deck Podcast. Take it easy, everybody.